So I'm driving in the car right now, and I was just thinking to myself that I haven't updated blog/vlog since all of my theater projects have ended. So I just figured I would go ahead and update. Dogfight went spectacularly. That was the one that I was doing with Stray Dog Theater from the 8th through the 24th of October. What a phenomenal cast we had. What a phenomenal cast. Brendan Oakes, Luke Steingruby, Kevin O'Brien, Shannon Cawthron, Sarah Womack, Tracy Herwick, Melanie Kozak, Linda Quimby, myself, Ethan Isaac, Mike Hodges, and an amazing director, Justin Bean. A huge shout out to the band under the direction of Chris Peterson, and to our production manager, Jay, who did everything behind the scenes. It was such a spectacular show. I had so much fun, and I learned so much, and it really showed me that you can have just as much fun in a professional theater as you can in a community theater, or in a high school theater, or in a festival / theatrical production. Check out St. Charles Christmas Traditions if you don't know what I'm talking about. And it also made me realize that we, as a society, don't invest enough in our local theater. And I mean that in a purely monetary sense. I really do. There is, in St. Louis, there is this, I don't want to use the word epidemic, but there is this idea that, good job, you did great, and we need a bit more of the, how much was that? Oh, okay, I'll give you that much money. And this is not to guilt anybody into giving money, so please don't take it that way. But we're much kinder in St. Louis to national acts, to international acts, than we are to local acts. And St. Louis is amazing in that there are so many local community / professional theaters in the entire metro area, and that's a huge area. When I say the metro area, I'm thinking of Wentzville, Missouri, which, if I remember correctly, is about 60 miles outside of downtown St. Louis, all the way into Illinois. Edwardsville and Belleville, all the way to Scott Air Force Base, because we'll just use that as the boundary, because that's where our metro system ends. Down to Arnold and Festus and, up, all the way up. I mean, it is absolutely amazing how much theater is here. And again, I mean that at all levels, too. From junior theater, from children's theater, to theater for young audiences, all the way up to places like stages, like the Muni, like the Repertory Theater, and straight on up to even opera theater. I mean, seriously, we are so lucky in the St. Louis area to have so much theater going on. And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe there's too much theater. Maybe there is just so much theater happening that people don't know how to give to all the theater that they love. Which, that could be a thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to diagnose the entire problem. I just, this is one of those things where I know everybody hates to hear, we need more money. But honestly, we need more money in St. Louis theater. You can't be a working actor in St. Louis. You can't be a working technician of any level in St. Louis and purely do theater. And I think that's incredibly unfortunate, because the St. Louis theater voice is this very unique voice. It's so fractured, and we say 1,000 different things with everything that we do. And I think I think St. Louis has a much much, much larger role that it needs to play in the national theater scene than it's currently playing. Now, I've gotten way off topic, but that's okay, I think. Anyways. Now, as to the 2 shows that I directed, wow, what a humbling and fantastic experience. The responses have been spectacular. Both playwrights were able to come see the shows, and David Hawley, who wrote A Second Serving of Salt, was very complimentary. He appreciated the way that I went about directing his show and how I made it feel more natural and seem more natural, at least if I'm remembering correctly. Donald Miller and I, Donald wrote Open. We spoke yesterday and through email, and again, he was incredibly complimentary. He said a lot of the things were exactly like he imagined, which really is nice for me to hear. But also, even there were a couple of scenes where he's like, you know what, I imagined it this one way, but you blocked it this way, and it worked so much better than what I had originally imagined. I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to direct these shows and to really kind of cut my teeth, test my skills. I don't know what word is probably most appropriate to use there. But gosh, I'm really humbled by a lot of the responses. A couple of the patrons have said that, A Second Serving of Salt was their favorite show of the night, which actually surprised me because I think it's one of the most difficult ones to understand if you're not paying attention, because it is written in this this sailing metaphor. If you check out for even a second from the piece, you could be lost. But they found it very endearing and very sweet, and they appreciated that I didn't overdo any of the things that we did. And again, I had a fantastic cast. I mean, uber shout outs to Mike and Gwen for performing like they did and for being able to really pull off this honestly, it's a difficult piece. I do think it's a difficult piece. But yeah, I'm beyond humbled. That's all I can say. And now I'm sure some of you saw I am moving on to stage manage for the very first time for RS Theatrics. And I'm very excited about this. RS is another professional company in St. Louis who really treats themselves like a professional company. There are rehearsal reports that I have to file and send out every night. They have a heavy preference for no fraternization between the production team and the cast. Even though, we're all friends, we are all friends, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that they want to head off any possible problems very early on by doing that. And then they even take it a step further. And I know some people might think this is hokey and they really don't, might not understand it. But for me, RS does this thing where you are not referred to by your first name. So for example, my name is Sean. So I'm not referred to as Sean when I am there. I am referred to as Mr. Michael. And Christina Rios, who's the artistic director, is referred to as Miss Rios. Our actors will be Mr. Isaac, Mr. Coleman. And for me personally, I feel like this sets up an expectation of professionalism and respect from the very beginning. I really think that it is a smart move on their part. And again, like I said, it's one that I appreciate. Earlier this year I performed in Hamlet with the company, and they did this, and you knew when it was time to work, because It was no longer, oh, hey, Sean, how's it going? It was, Mr. Michael, can you please, take 2 steps to the right? And I know not everybody's going to be into that, and not everybody's going to use it. Not everybody's going to use rehearsal reports and all that. And that's fine. That's totally cool. I think every company is different. Every company needs to find their style. But it is something that I appreciate out of this company because I think it sets a tone from the very first minute you walk in. If you just saw that red light go off, I'm driving again. There it goes. So I'm at a stoplight, so there's cars braking. So yeah, I'm super, 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 super excited. And I think that's all I have for today. So, thanks for listening.